Greetings, MSTU 105. Today we're going to talk about the production process. So the production process is basically this formula that we follow within media production across just about anything that we're creating that will take us from preparing the production, making it, and then editing it, distributing it, the whole process. And it's not just for movie making, but just about any sort of media production. We're going to use this process, and it's going to have three phases. So we have pre-production, production, and post-production. So you can tell right there from those prefixes that there's this thing that happens, production, and there's something we do before it, pre-production, and something we do after it, post-production. So the first phase is pre-production, and this is the preparation of production details. This is where we get ready for this thing we're going to talk about called production. So this is where the idea is generated. Sometimes you generate the idea, sometimes someone else generates it and then tells you what to do. For example, things I make today, I'm in a position in life where I basically get to decide what it is that I'm making. But there was a time when I was a promotions producer at a news station where I made the commercials for them, where I had a boss, and the boss would come to me and say, "Chris, I need you to make a 30-second commercial promoting this new section we're doing with weather." Okay, great. That's how much information I got. I had to generate the idea beyond that, but someone else generated it for me. Once you know the idea, then you have to figure out who's your target audience. Who are you making this thing for? If you're not making it for an audience, then it's going to get lost. You need to be thinking about who it is that's going to interact with this. If I'm trying to sell something, if I'm making a 30-second commercial, this is going to be very, very important. Who is it that I see is going to buy this, or who is it I'm trying to get to purchase this product? But it also works in something like movie making. For example, the ratings of a movie would be very important to our target audience. There's a different language requirement, not language requirement, but there's a sort of a different specification between what constitutes maybe a PG-13 rating and an R rating. R rating, you can use the F word pretty much as many times as you want to. In a PG-13 rated movie, you can only use it one time. So if I'm making a thriller and I want to make sure that I can get that teenage audience into the theater to see it, I'm going to make sure that my script only includes one F word. Or even in the post-production, as we edit it, I may even cut out, if we had included more, I may take out some of those parts with that stronger language so that I can still have younger audience come into the theater to see it. Another example would be between an R rating and then what's known as NC-17. So NC-17, a very rare rating, because number one, very few theaters are going to show that, and only people who are 17 years of age or older are even allowed into the theater to see it. So it doesn't make sense from a money-making perspective to make a movie with an NC-17 rating. Usually this is going to be movies with very strong graphic sexual content or extremely violent content. Now, an example of this, sort of a contemporary example, would be the movie Kill Bill by Quentin Tarantino. Now, this is getting to be a little bit older example because it was really popular when I was in college in a very similar class to this. But Quentin Tarantino, when he originally shot all this and put it together, one of the fight scenes was so intense, so long, so violent, so bloody and gory that the association that rates the movie said this movie is going to have an NC-17 rating. So they sent it back to him, and he made some edits and actually changed some of those elements into black and white. Didn't really change anything about the action, but just changing it from color to black and white in some spots. They sent it when he sent it to them. They said, "Okay, you can have an R rating." And so that was very important, right? An NC-17 rating would have never made any money. R rating, we have the adult audience, and it's still a pretty popular movie from a very popular director. So audience is very, very important no matter what sort of production you are creating. Now, once we know the idea and the audience, we need to know who and what do we need to to create this production. So based on the script, based on the idea, what personnel, what equipment, what places do we need to be able to make this thing. Pre-production is the most important phase. I want to really stress that. Pre-production is the phase, especially when people are just starting out, that they want to skimp on. They want to spend the least amount of time on getting ready. They want to go straight to production, the part where they're making stuff. But it is the pre-production phase that will really, most of the time, determine how successful the production is going to be. So things that happen in pre-production, this is just a short list. Many other things can fit in here, but things like script writing, hiring personnel, doing storyboarding, which is a pre-visualization of the thing that's going to be made. It looks sort of like a comic book strip, and we'll have lessons just specifically on that sort of thing. Choreography, if there's any special sort of movements, dances, fight scenes. We have to gather all the equipment, maybe rent equipment. We have to scout and find the locations where we're going to shoot things. We have to get permission to use those places. So a lot of things go into the preparation. If you do a great preparation, you're going to set yourself up for a great production. An example is in some of my classes, one of the things I've had students do throughout the years is shoot chase scenes. And you can always tell the groups that really prepared. And I see these groups in class. You see the group that just kind of wasted that time. They didn't want to prepare. They want to just figure it out when they went out to shoot. And they bring back all of this footage, and it took them, they ended up out there for 5 hours. They bring back this stuff that's basically useless. It doesn't connect properly. Things are just broken. It just doesn't work. But then you see the other group that had spent 5 hours on pre-production. They went out, it took them an hour and a half to shoot it, and they bring something back that just locks together seamlessly. Okay? Pre-production, super important. Then we get to production. Production is the actual activities in which an event is videotaped and or televised. So this could be, a live broadcast or just the recording of footage that's going to be edited together for whatever type of production. But by production, we mean the phase where cameras are rolling. If we are relating this to video, and primarily for our examples, I'm going to be relating things to video and film. So the cameras are rolling. One way we say that is actors are acting and directors are directing. We're on the set, we're in the location, whatever it is, and we might say we're filming, despite the fact that we are rarely these days ever actually using film, but we are rolling the camera. And then we have our third phase, which is post-production. This is any production activity that occurs after the production. So usually we're thinking about this as editing or audio sweetening. Okay, in post-production, we're selecting the best pieces of the things that we shot. We're enhancing picture and sound quality. We're correcting minor mistakes, and I put on there minor. There are lots of things that people will just say, we'll just fix that in post, when that's something that should have just been done right in production, because in post-production, correcting bigger mistakes is something that you really can't cover up. There are just certain things that even with our new technology that we have access to, you can only get it so much corrected. Okay, you're still going to be able to tell that mistakes were made. So what we were looking to do is correct minor mistakes. Okay, we're going to assemble shots and scenes into a coherent whole, and post-production typically is going to be the longest phase, right? It typically takes a lot longer to edit it than it does to shoot it. Okay, so in post-production we have editing. There's going to be a lot of, could be special effects work, but some things that people don't think about are like package and delivery, the design of, the Blu-ray design, all of the different things that happen to get it out, to distribute it, to advertise it. All of that is part of post-production. Now, the model that we use during the production process, it's called the effect to cause production model. Now, we are used to seeing this idea written out as cause to effect. Something happens and it has an effect. All right. So the idea here is what some disciplines call backwards design, We're going to call it effect to cause production model. And that is, we start with what it is that we want to achieve, what's the effect that we want to have, and then we figure out how do we cause it, how do we make that happen. So the effect to cause production model, the idea of it is how we move from the idea to the finished product with maximum efficiency. And maximum efficiency is very important in media production because typically there are deadlines, and even with a deadline, people want it a week before the deadline, right? We're always trying to work at a very fast pace, but very efficiently. Okay, so it's cause and effect in reverse. We think about what do we want to achieve, and then how do we make it happen. So here's an example. I'm going to be shooting a comedy, and my main character loves cereal. So this main character may have a lot of attributes of the director, myself. So I need an exciting sequence of this character eating cereal. So how does he do it? Well, we could do it, we could do it in the traditional way. We could get the bowl, we could get the spoon, we could get the cereal, put it in the bowl, pour the milk on it, and eat it. Great, right? No, that's boring. What we want is something exciting. So we might say, all right, what's another way we can achieve it, right? We want exciting cereal eating. So maybe our character grabs the cereal, grabs the milk, pours the milk in the box of cereal, proceeds to use the hands to eat the cereal right out of the box. Yes. All right, so I think that's a much more exciting example. So what did we do? We talked about the effect that we wanted to have. We wanted to have this comedic, fun, exciting way of eating cereal, and then we thought about various ways we would go about it. So I had the first example, which was pretty boring, and so then I kept thinking about how can I make this more interesting. I could have added more elements to make it even more exciting and more funny, but we'll leave it there. So the effect to cause production model. All right, the process of that, something we've kind of already alluded to at the beginning there. The effect to cause process. So I need to know the basic idea of the production. Okay, it could be a 30-second commercial for a product, which we are going to do here shortly. We're going to work through this idea. So know the basic idea. Once we know the basic idea, we need to know, number two, who the target audience is. Who are they, and what do we know about them? So we want to respectfully think about our audience and think about how we can engage them with our product. Then number three, this is very important, and I tell you, I've never given a test that did not include a question about this. Number three, what do you want your audience to learn, feel, and do? Okay, whether this is a commercial or it's a movie, it doesn't matter. What do you want your audience to learn, feel, and do? And then number four, we're going to construct an angle. So an angle, we're not talking about a camera angle here. We're talking about your approach to the story. How do I get my audience to learn, feel, and do something? Right? So we know what the idea is. We know who the audience is. We've identified things we want them to learn, feel, and do. The angle is what we do to make them learn, feel, and do. So for a video production, what that means is we're thinking about what the audience will see and what they will hear. Okay, so then number five, once we know what we want them to see and hear, we need to think about our medium requirements. And what that means is, once we know what we want them to see and hear, there's a script, there's an idea, there is something that we're going to produce. Okay, so who do we need? What personnel who are people who are behind the camera, running the set, operating the equipment, and who's going to be on camera. What do we need equipment-wise? And where? Location. What spaces do we need to make this happen? So let's do just an example here quickly. For a 30-second commercial, we're going to use the effect to cause production model. Now, the product that I've been hired to sell is the lightsaber. Now, I'm not talking about a toy. I'm talking about a real, authentic lightsaber. Yes, we're about to sell this. So Disney, they've hired us to make a 30-second commercial to sell their new authentic lightsaber. Awesome. They've also given us a budget of $2 million. Now, budget is something that needs to be considered right up front as you begin your project. Now, Overall, our budgets, we may think of them as $0. Budgets are never $0 because you need something to make it, even if it's been something that's purchased long ago. If you have equipment to make something, there is some budget, but we might sort of think, if we think about we're not acquiring any new budget or paying anybody anything, we might sort of imagine it as $0. But in this case, Disney has graciously given us $2 million. So we can pretty much make just about anything we want to make. We can hire just about anybody we want to. Now, who's our target audience? We know the basic idea. It's a 30-second commercial to sell this real lightsaber. We've got our target audience. I'm going to say we could work through multiple audiences. Disney might even tell us who they want us to market this to. But for this purpose, I've just decided we're going to market this to Star Wars fans of all ages. That's right, everybody needs a real lightsaber. Now, what do we know about Star Wars fans of all ages? Well, we know they like Star Wars. We know they like to play with lightsabers. I still play with lightsabers. My 6-year-old son, he every day wants to have a lightsaber battle. We know everyone who's ever played with a fake lightsaber has always wanted to wield a real lightsaber. Okay, and we know that people, some people at least, will spend lots of money on fake lightsabers. For example, the Kyber light. Yes, my friend has one of these beauties, which is indestructible and far out of the reach of my paycheck. However, he's a doctor and he's got one and it's really cool. I've got this. This is a $10 Walmart lightsaber. Now, back to our target audience. So we know that they're willing to spend money on these fake lightsabers, so surely they will spend money on a real lightsaber. So once we know the basic idea, we know the target audience, we need to find out what it is we want them to learn, feel, and do. So I've just come up with a few short ideas here. We would really expand this out if we're really brainstorming. We were going to make this commercial. But I said, learn. What do I want them to learn? Well, I want them to know that there's a real lightsaber available. I mean, who even knew that? And it's not that it's just, it exists. You can actually buy this thing. And it's actually very safe to use. Despite the fact that it can cut your arm off, it does cauterize the wound, so you will not, the wound, so you will not bleed to death. Also, it's affordable, and we want them to learn where they can buy it. Now, what do I want them to feel like? Well, I want them to feel like they are an actual Jedi. Or I won't discriminate, we'll say a Sith. We also, of course, we want them to feel like they have to have it. And then the obvious thing when we're selling something for do is we want them to purchase it. Okay, so learn, feel, and do. So these are the 3 things I've identified for my audience. Now I have to figure out, right, how I'm going to make them learn, feel, and do. Okay, so what are they going to see and hear? What is my 30-second commercial? That's my angle, right? It's what they see and hear. So we have $2 million. So I came up with something just very quick. Here's my thought. For $2 million, it begins with a lightsaber battle in the forest between Rey and Kylo Ren. So these, if you're not super familiar with the newest Star Wars movies, these are 2 of our main characters. Right? It's an intense battle. Trees are being cut down in this forest with a single swipe of the lightsaber. Then we cut to another woodsy scene. And now we see just a regular person. They're in their backyard and they've just cut down a tree. This tree is laying on the ground. And then we see a close-up of their face and it's pure elation. Okay, then we cut to the Walmart logo and we hear the big voice say, get yours at Walmart today for only $199. Sold right there. Okay, so there's my angle. All right, so based on that script, what do I need? What are my medium requirements? Well, I'm going to need a director. For $2 million, I'm going to try to hire J.J. Abrams. I need a scriptwriter. I need a storyboard artist. I need an entire production team, a special effects team. I need choreographer. I need hair and makeup, costuming. I need lots of production equipment. We need lights, camera. We're going to need audio equipment. We're going to need multiple locations of forest. I've got $2 million. I'm going to try to get Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver. Maybe we're just going to show movie footage and then cut. So maybe I don't hire them out for this. Maybe there's some contractual thing where I can actually don't have to pay them since Disney has the rights to the movies stuff. Maybe they're going to get paid through some contractual thing. They get some kind of fee. Who knows? We're going to need other talent. That's other people who are going to be on camera. We need a safety team. We need editing equipment. The list goes on and on and on. Okay, so now that we've done all that, we've figured all that, we're done, we're ready to make it. All right, so the last thing to list here today is now it's time for you to work through this process to sort of reinforce today's lesson. So the lab assignment, you're going to complete a similar effect to cause exercise to be turned in on Canvas. So you're just going to work through that list through the production process. You're going to choose any product of your choice. It can be something real, something not real, and then you're going to think about your audience, what you want them to learn, feel, and do, the angle. So you're going to figure out what your commercial would look and sound like. Then you're going to try to think through all of the requirements that you would need to make that. All right, until next time.